All right. We're live at 7:59 Pacific time, Pacific Standard Time, Los Angeles time. I logged in 1 minute early, but that's okay because technical difficulties are always so that 1 minute grace period is pretty good. What's up, everybody? So, okay, 8 o'clock. All right, right on the dot. What's up, everybody? Let me know if you can hear me by saying Godox in the comments section. All right, so go ahead and type in Godox in the comment section. I'm gonna look at my computer to the left here and I'll be able to see everything that I need to see. And yeah, while people start logging in, we're gonna be talking about this big guy right here, the Godox M600 Buy. Wow, what a beautiful piece of machinery this thing is. I'll tell you, it's a powerhouse of a light. We're going to be talking more about it in just a moment. We also have a huge tube light to the side. It's not, you don't see it right now, but Godox has a bunch of different tube lights. We're going to be talking about that light as well. Johnny Scompton says that thing looks like an absolute beast. Lip sync is off. Can somebody please verify if the lip sync is off? You might have to restart the stream, but I'm looking at the stream on the front end and everything looks like it's synced up pretty well. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Josh. I run a production company here in Los Angeles, California. And I've been using Godox products for the last over 5 years. My first Godox light was the SL60W. It was $150 when it first came out. Wow. And I think they still produce that light. And ever since I put my hands on that light, I was like, that's it. I'm all Godox. And this light to the side of me is Godox. I'm using a Godox projector mount right here to showcase this gobo effect. I'm using a UL 60 as a key light right now. It's a ultra silent light. And here we are demoing the M600 Buy. This light is just simply too powerful to use it in a simple interview setting like this. So in a moment, I'm going to be going into a little presentation, and I want to show you some BTS and how I use this specific light and the M600D, the bigger brother of the M600 Buy. It's daylight. It has slightly more output simply because it's just a 5600 degree chip. This one is bicolor, so you're going to get tungsten and daylight. You're going to get slightly less output compared to the M600D, but you're also going to get more versatility out of this light simply because it has those multiple color temperature variations. So you get custom color temperature mode, you get a bunch of cool lighting effect modes, and you can't see it. It's kind of off frame, but you also, if you're familiar with the M600 series, we have this massive ballast, all right? It can't even fit in the frame, but look at the size of this ballast. All right, so this is what powers up this light. Now I hooked up this light to my Anker power station, and that power station tells me exactly what the output is at maximum power. This light outputs about this light actually sucks up about 700 watts of power at about 5,000 Kelvin color temperature. When we start going down to about 3,000 Kelvin, it draws about 50 watts less. Compared to the M600D, it's continuous 740 watts of power. So you're getting slightly more output and slightly more power draw with the M600D, simply because it has just that one solid chip. All right, let's go ahead and check out the comments here. What's up, Godox? Good to see you guys. I'm happy that we were able to find a time where Godox's team can actually tune in and watch the stream live. So it's great to see them live with the live stream. What's up, everybody else? It looks like we are good. You are good to go. Bob, thank you so much. All right, let's go ahead and let me make sure my presentation is ready here. All right. Okay. Uno momento, please. Cool. All right. So here it is, Momentum Productions, fashion videography. So we already did a little bit of a background of who I am. If you're just tuning in, my name's Josh. I run a production company here in Los Angeles, California called Momentum Productions. I have a YouTube channel, Instagram page, TikTok page as well, where I showcase a lot of cool tips and tricks on filmmaking gear, how to shoot cool video effects, literally with your phone if you don't have a professional setup. So that's what I mainly do on the Instagram and TikTok pages. On YouTube, I go more in depth about video creation using much higher end products such as these types of powerhouse lights. All right. So today we're going to be focused mainly on the M600 by M600D. And I'm just going to show you how I use these lights for a lot of different situations. I have some bonus behind the scenes shots that I want to show you as well, something that's not actually in this presentation. I wanted to simulate early morning sunlight. And this is where this light absolutely wins. It wins completely. So I'm going to show you exactly how that was done, what settings I used on this light, and I can't wait to show you that. That's fresh footage that I haven't shown anybody yet, and it's actually going to be going into my review video of the M600 by as well. So stay tuned for that on my YouTube channel coming very soon. So here are some basic specs of the M600 by for those of you who are new to Godox or new to this light in general. It's meant for so many different situations. I put for studio or film TV production. Yeah, that's such a vague spec there, right? You can use it for literally anything. For a talking head situation like this, even at 0.1% dim, this thing outputs so much power. For example, let me demo it for you right now. We get fractional dimming here. And I know we're supposed to be talking about fashion videography, but we're going to get into that in just a moment. I just want to show you live how this light performs. Okay, right now we're at 0% dim. At 1%, the wall that you're seeing behind me is approximately 8 feet away. Look at that. That's 0.1%. And we are shooting at 6,500 Kelvin. All right, just 0.1%. Imagine what it can do at 100%. And if you dare me to do that, I will do it in this live stream. This whole entire frame will end up being pure white. That's how powerful this light is. So yeah, that should just give you a little idea of how powerful this light is. But I also need to show you. I'm sorry. I actually I need to switch to the camera view. I completely spaced on that, guys. I'm sorry. But we should be back onto the camera view. But here it is. 0.1% dim on the Godox M600 by. All right. That's 0.1%. The wall is about 8 feet away from me. Just imagine what it could do at 100% dim. All right. I apologize about that, but now I'm showcasing you what this light can do. All right, back to the actual presentation. All right, technology, live streams. Wow, they can be tricky sometimes. All right, so back to the presentation, everybody. Some more specs about this light. Now, Godox makes a Fresnel attachment for their higher end lights and their lower end lights. For these M600s, you're gonna get a larger Fresnel. Simply because you're working with a larger chip. So you're going to need a larger lens to work properly with that chip. And that's what a Fresnel basically is. It's a lens for your light. It's a focusable lens. So it's a must-have tool. If you want to replicate sunlight, if you need harsh shadows, harsh light, much larger output, a Fresnel is your best friend, and they're relatively inexpensive, surprisingly. They're made out of glass, so yeah, that's how you're gonna get that really nice output. It's basically a magnifying glass, in layman's terms. So we're working with a color rendering index of 96%. This is A grade light. This is TLCI is 97. So this is easily, easily you can put this thing in front of a TV production, TV crews, gaffers would love to use this light. It just outputs very, very accurate color. We have some other standard features as well. We have the option to actually turn off the fan too. So this light has a built-in fan. It's rather large, and we have a fan built into the actual ballast. Now, when we have the option, when we turn off the fan, the cooling fan on this light, we're limited to about 25% power. But just know that that option is there, so you can have a silent light if you need that option. So yes, fanless cooling for sure, but you're limited on that output. Obviously, we have that radio DMX compatibility, Bluetooth wireless control. It can be controlled via your smart device or mobile device. So you can hook up multiple different Godox products to one device. So you can create different scenes and turn on all the lights in that specific scene with just a tap of a little button. Obviously, we have a Bowens front accessory mount. That's how we can attach our soft boxes, lanterns, and our Fresnels, as I mentioned earlier. All right, and we also have approximately 100 feet of a wireless Bluetooth range. So again, 100 feet of range to use the Godox app with your mobile device. So here is a client of mine. His name is Mike O'Hearn. We were doing a fashion shoot for a brand called Father and Sons. I have a BTS shot of me using the M600D right here. The M600D, M600 by, as I mentioned earlier, two major differences between this light. One is solid set on 5600 degree Kelvin, while we have an adjustable color temperature on the M600 by. At this time of the shoot, I only had the M600D in my hands. Godox was still shipping over the M600 by, but basically the form factor of both of these lights is exactly the same. And at 5600 degree Kelvin, the output quality is about the same as well. You just get slightly more output with the M600D. So if we press play right here, you can just see how I have it mounted on a traditional light stand, and I have it just blasting on mic. We were dealing with very overcast weather. So believe it or not, with clouds, we get, believe it or not, with clouds and overcast weather, we get sunburnt a lot more. Yes, we get diffused light, but the sun's output, the sun is much harsher with the clouds, believe it or not. And I needed a light powerful enough to outpower the sun. All right. I know that's physically impossible, but I needed a light that was powerful enough to light up Mike in such a bright, sunny, cloudy day. The M600D did the job, and so will the M600 by. I will prove what the M600 by can do in today's video when I show you some cool BTS shots of it when I wanted to simulate early morning sun. Also, you can ask questions. I'm looking at the chat right now. You can ask questions throughout this whole entire live stream. I usually leave the last 10, 15 minutes at the end of the live stream for questions, but I honestly don't. It doesn't bother me to answer them as they come in. All right, cool, awesome. Tommy, what's going on, man? Mills, how you doing? Cool, awesome to see everybody tuning in here. Hopefully it's not too late or too early for anybody. But let's go back into the PowerPoint and I'll show you some more cool stuff. All right, here we go. So yeah, this is just a simple shot, nothing too crazy, but I just literally had the light just boom, lighting up his whole entire body. Now, Mike had a tanner on. He looks a lot tanner here, so that was really good. So it makes him pop out of the frame a lot more, which I really liked. And the light just did a really good job showcasing the definition of his body and also lighting up the father and son's outfit that he's wearing there too. Yeah, here's another look right here. Again, I'm using the M600D. Just, here I believe is at about 50% dim. So about half the light's output. We're using a silver reflector here to bounce off that light and really just cast a beautiful glow on his face. And the catch light in his pupils just really pops here. So this came out really, really nice. And setting up the shot, honestly, was pretty easy with this light. I never struggled to set it up. If you check out my YouTube video on the M600D, you will see how easy it is to actually set up that light. And on my review video on the M600 Buy, you will see how easy it is to set up that light too. It's basically the same light, just with slightly different features. So really nice. We also have the TL180. We're going to talk a little bit about this tube light as well. It's actually about 6 feet tall. Very good light to have, not only as a practical light or as a prop, but as a light to light up a subject. Because this light has a really nice output, really soft light as well, you can use it to light up a person's body full on. The M600 Buy and the M600D and other similar light fixtures, have a very round output. And if you want it to light up a full body, you have to put the light pretty far away. You have to do all these different things with diffusion. But this light has built-in diffusion. You can use it up close to your subject because it's tall, it's thin, and it can light up people's bodies all the way from head to toe. So that's basically what we did here. Now, some specs about the TL180. Standard color temperature range here that we've seen before in other Godox lights, 2700 to 6500 degree color temperature, RGB color modes. We have a very high CRI TLCI rating, 0 to 100% dimming, Bluetooth app. I mean, this works very similarly to their TL 30s, TL 60s, and TL 120s. They have literally a tube light for every size. So again, we also have 100 feet of Bluetooth range. And what's really cool and unique about these lights is that they have a built-in microphone, so it can actually listen to ambient sounds and react to ambient sounds. So here's just a little BTS shots, some little BTS shots here of Jeff and I, and then Mike here is using the light as an actual prop because it's such a cool futuristic looking prop, and it just does a really nice job of lighting up Mike as well. Again, you can see what it does to his whole entire body. Like, it just lights up his abs. Look at the definition of his abs, his chest. Bodybuilders, they want everything seen. Everything seen, every separation in their muscle and their body tone, composition, all that stuff. So it's important, whenever every single bodybuilder that I've worked with, every single fashion model that I've worked with, they always want perfect lighting. When I first started off doing stuff with, fashion models and power and bodybuilders, I didn't always know how to light them up. They always actually critiqued me on poor lighting and not knowing what I was doing. It wasn't until like maybe 2 years later, after I actually, started making money in this, that I realized how important lighting is. All right. Lighting is everything. You can have a decent camera, but if you have bad lighting, you have bad everything. If you have good lighting, lighting can just showcase so much. It's incredible what lighting does. That's why when I first started videography, I was obsessed about lenses, cameras, gimbals. I wasn't too crazy about sound. I didn't think sound was that important, and I didn't think lighting was that important. And then now that I have so many different types of lights, it's like I'm looking back at this and I'm thinking to myself, wow, I can't live without lights. I can't. I cannot do it. I literally have a light for each purpose, for each scene. You have tube lights for this. You have M600s for that. You have ULs for this. You have these little MLs 30 buys for this. What's really cool about the ML30 buy, by the way, is that it's handheld. So you can actually put it on a boom stand, and you can put it up high. You can actually use it for a lot of cool tracking and walking shots. So these little tiny lights, this is actually at 1% dim, by the way. 1% dim. Very bright, powerful, and they're lightweight. They work off of little batteries. So really cool that we have so many different options with Godox. Let's see here. Tommy says he's writing notes. Yeah. I noticed that my 300D has a magenta tint. Does this have the same? So, how old is your 300D? Now, based on the science of LEDs as they age, magenta, there's magenta shift, there's green shift. I haven't noticed any significant shifts. Now, this light is still relatively new, but I have my Godox. I still have my Godox SL150W Mark II and my Godox SL, I'm trying to remember the names, SL60W, and the light output quality is still the same. Still the same. So I haven't had any significant shifts. The one light that I did notice some shifts was the SZ150R, because that's a full RGB light. So it has a different chip on it. That light, even though there's a magenta shift and even sometimes a green shift, you can easily correct that because that chip is RGB. So those are very, very easy to fix. But I haven't noticed any significant magenta or green shifts with the M600 series. They've always done very, very well. I have more experience with the M600D simply because I had that light longer, and I've used that light on so many different shoots. I've used it with Rezvani Motors featuring their tank car. I actually did a live stream with B&H about that. So you can actually watch that. I think it's pre-recorded on B&H's website. I used the M600D for that, and that was all white. And the problem with using an all-white studio is that you can easily see green and magenta and all these little different colors that aren't supposed to be there. And what was interesting about that shoot was I was shooting a camo edition car. So it had a lot of greens, dark greens, lighter greens. And I needed a light that didn't emit any sort of green. I needed a perfect 5600 degree Kelvin light. M600D performed very well. The car was what made it difficult because it was reflecting green off of all of the walls. But that correction can be made within your video editing software. A simple white balance and a tint adjustment will fix that issue. Yeah, so thanks for bringing up the magenta shift question. I think that's really important, but I haven't had any noticeable shifts in color like that. All right, let's go back to the presentation, and then I want to show you some cool BTS shots that I recently shot with the M600 buy. All right, here we go. All right, that I showed you. All right, yeah, we're on the TL180 now. Similar thing here with the TL180. If you see any shifts in color over time, it's a full RGB light. You can easily correct it within the app. It's great. Here's some more BTS shots of Mike and the light. Now the video will be a little bit laggy over streams, and the color might not be the best. But this is just, some of the things that we shot together. Here I actually used the M600D and the TL180. I had my friend Jeff holding it and walking as I pulled back with the gimbal. Everything was lit very well. It was such a just a bright, humid day. This was shot in the summertime. And this right here was shot with the M600D full blast with the Godox Fresnel. And you can really just look at the droplets. You can see that each individual drop is lit up. This is not possible with a weak light. It's not possible. I don't even understand how Mike was able to open his eyes because I was blasting him with so much light. It was absolutely insane. I can't believe he wasn't squinting. But this guy's been in front of so many magazine covers. I think he's used to the bright lights. All right. Here's another one. Again, lighting is everything here. He wanted to showcase his chest, his abs. This one was shot using the TL180 tube light. Literally, that's it. It was off to the left side. Really nice power output. As I mentioned earlier, head to toe lighting. I showcased all of his abs, his chest right there is just exploding right there. And this is what bodybuilders want. So if you work with a lot of fashion people, a lot of, fitness people, they're going to want their bodies shown. And you can even see how the shirt is lit up as well. So this is, again, father and sons. You can see their logo right here. This is the fashion company we were working with too. Yeah, that's just some stuff right there. Now I'm going to pull up some BTS of me using the M600 Buy. I just want to see if anybody has any questions, if you want to see any specific demos with the M600 Buy right now before I pull up some more shots of it. Just notice really quick about this light, the size of the chip. So let me bring it up over here. Do you guys see that? So that's my thumb. All right. That is a huge chip. Huge. And there is a plate of glass protecting it. A lot of companies, I'm not going to name names, but a lot of other companies don't bother putting this safety glass in front of the chip. What happens is that if you constantly accidentally touch the chip, your oils from your fingers can actually cause some issues down the road, especially when it comes down to color reproduction. It can really mess with the color. So I'm really happy that they put this glass in front of the chip there. It just protects itself from you. So really glad that they included that. They also have the case. It's off to the side. It's just way too massive for me to bring into the shot, but you'll see it in my review video coming soon on YouTube. But in the case, there's another plastic layer that just screws on. This is something I'm sure you've seen with other similar lights. It just screws on, protects the whole front end from getting bashed or anything like that. The case itself is really nice. It's a roller, and it's a really nice case. It protects the light flawlessly. Let's see here. Any more questions? No, we're still good. Awesome. All right, cool. So just take a look at the form factor of the light. We have an adjustable yoke, spring-loaded, right? We've seen that before. But what we haven't seen before, especially if you're new to these higher-end lights, is a strong yoke. I cannot tell you enough how many times I've broken yokes on lights. I've broken them. I've stripped the thread. This is all metal. All of it is metal. None of this is plastic. So it's going to last you a while. Also notice the size of the fan. I can't tilt it up anymore because the cable's in the way. But you can see the size of the cooling fan right there. The exact weight of the light, I don't know the exact weight. Tommy, I apologize, but maybe Godox can answer that question. I can tell you right now, just from holding it, it's about 12 to 15 pounds, the light on its own. It's not a lightweight light. This is not something that you would fly on a boom stand or something like that. No, it's heavy. It's a heavy light, but with great power comes great weight, right? But here's a little 360 look of the light. All metal, beautiful finish, great heat sink. So basically how this thing cools down is that we have a fan at the bottom, cool air goes in through here, hot air comes out at the top, and that's it. It's really that simple. At max power, the heatsink is still relatively quiet. We can demo that in this live stream if you like. I can also demo the light output during this live stream if you like. It's tough right now to demo these lights in stores because usually stores, unless you live near B&H or an Adorama, a lot of stores don't really allow you to demo such high-powered lights. So these live streams are really good for you to actually get a little bit of a demo of how these lights can perform live. Yeah, cool. So really quick before I show you some more BTS of the M600 Buy, let me just show you what it's like at 6,500 degree Kelvin. This is 0.1% dim. We're going to go down to 2,800 Kelvin. You can see the change of color there. Pretty significant. Really, really significant. I mean, why not? Let me show you the output of this bad boy. All right. So we're now at 1%. 1% power. So here we are. Light body is about 4.96 kilos. So I was close. I said what, 12 pounds? I was close. So that's about what, 11 and a half pounds for the light. And the controller weight is 3.74 kilos. So about a little over 8 pounds for the controller or the ballast. So 1% dim on the M600 Buy. We're going to go to 12%. This is 12%. This is ridiculous. All right. Now, mind you, this is the M600 Buy. This has slightly less output than the M600D. So just imagine what the M600D can output. I mean, this wall is about 8 feet away from me. And it's a dark navy blue wall. Okay, 20% dim right now. We're going to go to... I have the fan turned off, I believe. There we go. Automatic. Okay. All right. 37%, 44. We are now at 50% dim. Now I'm looking at my camera settings right now. We are now at ISO 2500. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take down the ISO because this is just too bright. All right, so let me go ahead and go down to, I can't see anything right now. Okay. We are at 125 ISO. F2.8 shutter speed 150th. This is 50% dim. I would never shoot at this ISO, by the way. I mean, I can keep going. This is absolutely insane. 100% dim at this point. Actually looks quite nice, right? 100% dim. We're sucking down about 660 watts of power. Somewhere around there, if I remember correctly. The microphone right up here, the lights right up here. Can you hear the heatsink? Let me know. Very quiet light. Let me know if you could hear it in the live stream, but it's a very quiet light, even at full brightness. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my regular ISO. 20. I was at a really high ISO, wasn't I? 2500 is really high. So I'm going to go ahead and look at this. It's just insane how bright this light is. And as I start dimming down, there's a temperature sensor in this light. So what's really interesting is that it doesn't just have the fan on all the time. The fan is variable speed. So at different temperatures, it's going to be running at different speeds. I like that a lot. And when you've been running the light for, let's say, a couple of hours or half an hour at pretty high brightness, it's going to continuously run the fan until it feels like the light is cooled down enough. So I don't recommend shutting down the controller or the ballast immediately after you've turn down the dim. Let the fan cool the light down first, and then once the fan stops spinning, then you can remove it off the stand and pack it up. So that's just something I want to recommend to you. One more thing I do want to add, and that is the importance of having a reliable heatsink. I've had a 300-watt light. This was one of the scariest moments I've ever had with. I've been slightly naive with high-powered lights. I never thought that fires could happen, or I just was a little bit careless. Fires can happen with these lights, not with the M600s or any Godox light, but I've had a 300-watt light from a different brand, and I've had the heatsink stop working. The heatsink stopped working. And then I remember I was shooting this video down in my living room, and I could smell something burning. It was terrifying. I looked at this at the 300-watt light, and I could actually see like little smoke coming out of the top of the heatsink of the fan. I was freaking out. Luckily, that light also had a temperature sensor, so it shut off the light, but it got to the point where smoke was coming out. I mean, that's enough. That's enough for me to run away. So I don't use that light anymore. It's gone. It's away from my house, and I'm never messing with that again. It's important to have a light that has a reliable heatsink, and not only a reliable heatsink, but thick power cables. Look at the gauge on these wires. If you have thin wires, they can melt, they can burn, they can catch fire, and then you have more issues. So look at the quality connectors that we have here. They're standard. Let me turn this, actually turn it off completely. Standard twist lock cables. Actually, this is not a twist lock. The twist lock is for the power cable for the ballast. This one has its own just standard lock. Just push it in, get a nice satisfying click there, and it's locked into the light. All right, now let's look at some demo footage that I shot with the M600 Buy. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up right here. It's on my SSD. And yeah, we're going to talk about how cool this thing is. Let me just make sure that this is the right clip here. All right, cool. Let me show you. Let me share my screen here. Okay. So I am on a MacBook. So here I am trying to recreate early morning sun. I have both the M600D and the M600 Buy. Now, mind you, all right, I did decide to use a gel. This is something that I don't recommend that you do, but I had the light. The M600D here was at about 20% dim. I don't entirely remember what the dim was or the brightness was on the M600D, but at full brightness, guys, you will melt the gel. You're going to melt the gel. I've had that happen. That's another fire hazard, but it was cold outside and I had the dim set to a reasonable level to the point where the light would not melt the gel. But at full brightness, I can guarantee you this setup right here, this gel would melt. All right. If you are to use gels, make sure it's farther away from the actual LED chip, or you can just mount it in a different way. But I don't recommend doing this because this gel would melt at full brightness. I've had that happen before, and it was very embarrassing because, again, I didn't think gels could melt that fast. So I learned my lesson the hard way. Fire is a bad thing on set, so don't let it happen to you. But as you can see right here, if we play back, you can see the color. Just look at the color. The sun was already setting, but you can see the color that we're getting. Just beautiful early morning light. And I'm going to show you the shot from the camera as well. I shot this with the Sony a7S Mark III in S-Log3. So I will have to open up my Final Cut. This is actually shot on my iPhone as a BTS cam, but I'm going to show you the actual shots that I did on my camera. And here I did a little bit of a moonlight effect. Again, I did use a gel. I set the color temperature here to, let's see what the color temperature was, 6,500 Kelvin. Again, we're getting that cooler light. I put a CTB, I think it was a half CTB on there. Otherwise, it's too blue and it doesn't look too realistic. And I actually ended up changing the dim down to about 3%. 26% was way too high. It's 40 degrees outside. It was pitch black outside as well, but 26%, just look at how much it lights up the set here. But yeah, I ended up lowering this down to about 3 or 4% dim, and that created really nice moonlight there. So that was cool. Let's see what this clip is here. So yeah, that's me actually toning down. Actually, no, that's me adjusting the color temperature. I just wanted to show you the differences while using a CTB and adjusting the color temperature. You're going to get completely different looks here, as you can see. Really, really different. Yeah, it's a game changer, guys. So let's go back to StreamYard. Sorry about that. Any more questions? Or are we good? Okay, we're good. Tommy is asking, is the fan noisy? Sorry, that was a little delayed, but hopefully you couldn't hear the fan too much at 100% when I demoed it. It's very, very quiet. So hopefully you can actually go back to an earlier point in this live stream and listen to the fan. It's really not that loud. So I'm going to do is open up my Final Cut, and I want to demo some of the actual shots with you, and I want to show you how easy it is. I barely had to color grade it because this light did such a good job with replicating early morning sunrise. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen again with you guys. I'll show you my Final Cut Pro project. I'll show you how easy it is to work with this light. Okay, let's do this. All right, so here are all my shots. Now, what's really cool is that this kitchen had a lot of plants. And let me see if I can show you right here. See these plants right here? This is really cool to showcase as shadows on cabinets. The sun, you have to remember the sun is very hard light. So that's what I tried to replicate with the M600 Bi. You can see it right here peeking in behind these plants. I also used a mist, a Cinemist filter. I believe it was a quarter Cinemist. That's why you can see a little bit of softness, a little bit of haze in this shot. So, and what's really cool about this kitchen is that it has these brown cabinets, which really accentuates the warm color of early morning sun. So watch what happens. I'm going to go ahead and just color grade this really quick for you guys. It's shot in S-Log3. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a conversion LUT. It's very easy to do. Then you can actually see what the shot should look like with the M600 Bi. All right, let's see if that, okay. Final Cut can act a little weird sometimes, but that's all right. So, okay, that's what the conversion LUT applied. You literally don't have to do much. You can add some subtle color correction here, but you can see like this is literally how intense the sun is at this location early morning. Literally, that's what the sun looks like. Look at the harsh shadows here. You can see the shadows of the plants. This is literally how intense it is when the sun is peeking over the mountaintops. You can, mess with the colors just a little bit, but you don't need much. You really don't need much. Lower the blacks a little bit. I mean, and then you can actually add a nice little grade there if you're looking for a specific film-like look. So again, this coffee shot right here, look at this. Again, the M600 Bi was being used. You can tell it looks like it was shot early in the morning. I'm going to actually remove the grade or the color correction that I did here. Yeah, I would probably add a little bit of a vignette just to get rid of these wires here, whatever this is on the countertop. But you can see that this looks like it was shot probably at 6 or 7 a.m. Really, really cool that we have that ability with this light. So that's just some demo stuff. I don't want to spoil everything. Uh, you're just gonna have to wait for the full review video, but that's what it's like. How would the M600 handle in rain? Well, it's not a waterproof light. You definitely need to cover up this light in the rain. Definitely don't use this uncovered. You will have to cover this up. Now, when I say cover up, I don't mean put plastic wrap over it because the plastic will melt. You're going to have a bad day. It has to be under some sort of cover, literally maybe about 2 feet, 3 feet over the light. This is not a waterproof light, so keep that in mind. All right. You can shoot with it in intense weather conditions, like intense cold, humidity is fine. But if it's raining, not a good idea. Simply because, look at this, there's holes in this light. So just water will seep in and you can damage the electronics. But David's also asking, will Godox be releasing any waterproof lighting solutions like the ML60 in a waterproof pro version? So maybe Godox can answer that question. They might be in design. I don't know. But Godox just has so many different designs. Like they have so many variations of lights. It's pretty overwhelming. All right, cool. So we are down to about the end of this live stream. So let me open it up to some Q&A, some questions. I'll have some answers hopefully for you. Hopefully this live stream taught you some more about the M600 Bi, its capabilities. It's absolutely wonderful. Let me put this reflector mount back. It's just a satisfying light, guys. It really just outperforms in every situation. Godox has just been doing such a good job. I've worked with so many brands. I've used so many different types of lights, but I always end up bringing back out the Godox. Always. It just works. They have a very good app that works with the light as well. So it's a game changer. David's, thank you so much for your support, man. Godox just confirmed that they are working on waterproof lights. Interesting. So yeah, the future of lighting is very good for Godox. I want to see what more they do. Maybe they're going to come out with a 1200 watt light. Maybe they already have one. I just don't know about it. But right now, these are the most powerful lights that are in my arsenal. The M600 Bi, the M600D. These are the lights that I use. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what's next for Godox. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. We're going to stay on the stream for a couple more minutes. I can tell you actually how many different Godox lights I have. It's a little bit ridiculous how many Godox lights I have. I have an LD150R, SZ150 R as well, SL150W Mark II, SL SL60W, ML30 by. I used to have an ML60. I just was able to get more use out of the ML30. I didn't really need the ML60 as much. To each his own, right? I have an M600 by, M600D, TL180, TL120s, 2 of them. I have 7 TL30s. I have 4 TL60s. I'm already losing track. And that's about it. I don't know if you guys could count. I can't count how many lights that was, but it's just so overwhelming. I'm impressed that I remember the model names of each light that I have. I'm because all these numbers and letters, it's crazy. But yeah, for every single shoot that usually I'm a one-man crew, usually, because just the clients that I work with, they're only set to do 2-3 hours out of the day sometimes for a specific shot. One-man band, in and out, boom. Setup times for these lights, extremely quick. As I mentioned earlier, I used an Anker power station to power up this light and the M600D. The controller will take 2 V-mount batteries, but not any V-mount batteries. You need to get the ones that have higher voltage. I mentioned this in another live stream. So I have a few V-mount batteries, but they're not compatible since they're lower voltage. For this light, you need 14.8 volts for it to power this ballast. And you need both battery bays to be occupied. If you only use one battery bay, you're going to get limited output capacity out of the light. So I recommend using multiple V-mount batteries. Honestly, I recommend getting a power station simply because you're going to end up spending a lot more money on V-mount batteries. And a power station, you can hook up multiple lights into one power station. A V-mount battery, you're going to have to buy so many just to use one light. And if you have 2 lights or more lights, you're going to have to power all of that with V-mounts. And a powerful V-mount battery, guys, $600-700 easy per battery. A power station is about $1,300-1,400, and it should get you to power the M600D and M600 by at full power with that power station. I think I got about an hour and a half of runtime, which is really good at full blast. So that should give you some sort of an idea of what that's like. So downside to a power station, it's heavy, it's big. Upside to V-mount batteries, they're small, and that's just about it. So, things to consider. You got to weigh your pros and cons, but I think that's just how it is. For me, it's more convenient to use a power station, and it plugs in using a standard AC plug, and you're good to go. I mean, it's very simple. So that's how it is, guys. And any more last minute questions? Again, hopefully I've answered a lot of the questions. I like to be as thorough as I can with these live streams. I'm going to be shooting a ton more BTS. I have some important shoots coming up next month, January 2023, by the way. Almost Happy New Year. And yeah, it's all going to be Godox lights that I'm going to be using always. David, thank you so much for your kind comment, man. I appreciate it. Awesome. All right, everybody, we are going to be ending the live stream here. If you are interested in any Godox lights, you can feel free to email me, contact me via Instagram at momentum_productions. You can find me on YouTube at Momentum Productions, and feel free to ask me questions there, or you can email me at info@capturethemomentum.com. You can also email Godox. They're very active on their social medias. You can look at their Instagram page. They have a really cool collection of videos tip videos and photos. They also make photography equipment. That's actually why most people know Godox, is because they make a lot of flashes. Every pro photographer that I know always uses Godox flashes. So, and then they started dipping their feet into video and continuous lighting. So that's how we got these powerful lights. They actually are relatively new in the video lighting world, if you look at it. So I think they've advanced extremely fast. So I really appreciate what they're doing for the community. All right, guys, thank you so much. Hopefully, I'll see you in another live stream or in another video. I'll talk to you very soon. Happy creating, and we'll talk soon. All right, guys, bye.